Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about the novel The Quiet American, written by Greene. Now, before I go into the summary and explanation of this novel, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or leave a comment so that the channel can continue to grow. Now, this novel is quite interesting. The majority of this novel is a great read, but there are some points that are not as captivating as others. But for the most part, it's an enjoyable read. The main focus of this novel focuses on this um, love triangle where the main characters are fighting for this woman. We have Thomas Fowler, who is a journalist, and then we have Alden Pyle, who is from the U.S. and he has these political views that he wants to, um, you know, bring to Vietnam. And of course, this novel is being the setting is in Vietnam, and the war is going on. The Vietnam War is going on. Now, Thomas Fowler and Alden Pyle, they both end up loving this woman by the name of Fuang. But before we go to that, we gotta talk about the relationship of Thomas Fowler and Fuang first. Now, of course, Thomas Fowler, we know he's a journalist. He's a married man. He's married to this woman by the name of Helen. But in this novel, we learn that he's not in love with Helen anymore. Helen has this, she's very religious, and she made a vow that she would never divorce her husband. But Thomas didn't make that vow. And in the novel, he says many times, I want to leave you. I don't want to be with you. And I want to get a divorce, but Helen said, "You're not going anywhere. We're not separating." And Thomas is not happy because he's in love with Phuong. Phuong is a Vietnamese woman, and she's with Thomas, and Thomas is providing for her, and they're very happy, and they've been living together. They have a relationship that's been um, going on for several years. So in the novel, we do see Thomas Fowler. He sends letters to Helen explaining that Fuang is his heir and that he can't live without Fuang and that Fuang is everything to him. But Helen said, I am not letting you go. I'm married to you. I made a vow in front of God and I'm not letting you go. And Thomas is just, he's not happy when he gets this letter. He wants to be with Fuang. He wants to marry Fuang and have a family with her. But because of Helen's um, religious beliefs, she won't let him go. And she's in England, and she's there. They write letters back and forth to each other about this, and pretty much the end result is Helen saying, "I'm not letting you go." So Thomas is living with Yuan. They're living together. They have this, you know, kind of romantic relationship going on. They're happy together, but that's pretty much all that it is. It's kind of like a glorified boyfriend and girlfriend kind of thing. They can't do anything more than that. And then Alden Powell comes into the picture, and he instantly he loves Fuang. He wants to be with her, and Alden Pyle is pretty much what they call him in the novel. Most people just call him Pyle because they just get rid of the Alden part, especially Thomas. Thomas several times Alden, he tells Thomas that my name is Alden, but Thomas never wants to refer to him as Alden. He just refers to him as Pyle, and there's a reason for that. So Thomas and Fuang, they're together. Pyle comes in between them, and Pyle he says I want Fuang. And he tells Thomas this. He's very confident. He tells Thomas, I want Fuang. I want to marry her. And Pyle is, of course, again, he's an American. He's coming over from the U.S. He's trying to establish a democracy in Vietnam. And he wants to marry a Vietnamese woman. So very confident, he has many aspirations. And Thomas is just, he's not having it. He's not happy. But Fuang, you know, she's a woman that basically just wants a normal life, right? In the U.S., we have this idea of getting married for love and for passion. But in a lot of other countries, a lot of women, they get married because they want to survive. They want a roof over their heads. They want to eat. They want to have a family. And Fuong in this love triangle, she's not really like extremely passionate and showing love and all that kind of stuff. She's happy to be with any one of these guys as long as one of them's going to provide for her and for her to have a family one day. So when she realizes she can't get a future with Thomas and that Pao was willing to marry her and to give her what she wanted, she left Thomas and she went to go live with Pyle. It's not that she loved Thomas less. It's just that Pyle was offering her marriage. So she, looked at these two deals and that she realized with Pyle she could get kids and be married, and with Thomas she couldn't. So she just leaves Thomas in the dust and she goes to live with Pyle. So Thomas is not happy because one of the letters that Thomas sent to Helen in England, he said that Fuang is everything to me. Without her, I can't live. She's my life, and Pyle took that away from Thomas, and this kind of creates bad blood. Now you're not going to see this, directly in the novel. You really got to analyze it to see that Thomas, even though he kind of shows that nothing's wrong, and the narration tells you there's nothing wrong, but he's not happy because that letter is makes it really clear that Fuang does mean something to Thomas. So Pyle takes her away, and he starts to live his life with Fuang, and Thomas is all by himself. Now, the other thing that we need to keep in mind here that's important within this novel, all of this is happening within a war, and Pyle is an important um, part of the war, and he's calling these military drills. And there's this one instance near the end of the novel where Pyle calls this strike, this military strike to be carried out, and he bombs this square which he believed that there was going to be a parade there with a lot of soldiers, with a lot of enemy soldiers of his, and there were no soldiers there, and he basically kills a bunch of women and children. He kills some people who were working in the square, and to him, when he realizes what he's done, he basically says, it's in it's for democracy. That's what he says. He says this is for democracy. We have to pay some heavy prices for democracy, but I want to establish democracy in Vietnam. I want these people to have a democratic society. So okay, maybe my military actions here did cost some lives, but it's for democracy. So he kind of convinces himself that his actions are all right. But Thomas was there and he saw the carnage. He saw the kids. There was this one woman that was basically carrying her dead baby into her arms, and there's blood everywhere. And it was all because of Pyle and his, political views on the world. He's from an Ivy League background. He's in the military, and he believes that he's correct. He believes that he has the right actions. And Thomas, he doesn't agree with Pyle's political views. So what happens after this is Thomas pretty much has Pyle killed. The novel doesn't say this right away, but I'm gonna cut to the chase. Thomas basically has Pyle killed, not directly but indirectly. The people that he talked to, they just asked him to have Pyle in a certain place at a certain time, and Thomas. There's several points where the novel shows us, oh, he was thinking to not do it, but the end result is he got Pyle to be where they asked him to bring um, Pyle, and the people he talked to, the people he allied himself with, they killed Pyle. And Thomas, he played a role in it. He had Pyle killed, and in the end, he ends up with Fuong. He still can't get married to her, and it's kind of like a freak accident. There's a detective that comes in. The detective, he feels like Thomas played a part in Pyle's death, but he can't really prove it. And of course, yes, Pyle was killed because of Thomas, and Thomas plays a part in Pyle's death, but he didn't pull the trigger. He didn't kill Pyle by his hand. He did play a role in it. He set him up. He got Pyle to a specific place and time, and they killed Pyle. So it's very interesting. That's really how the novel ends. We kind of find out where Thomas is back with Yuang. He's not going back to England. He's not going back to his wife, who he's still married to, and he can't get married to Fuang. And that's really pretty much where the novel ends. And it's it's quite interesting because when you start reading this novel, you're not really going to think about um, Thomas killing Pyle, but there is reason. There is reason there. The fact that Pyle took Fuang away from Thomas, the fact that um, Pyle committed this heinous act of blowing up this square with a bunch of people, and Thomas he was mad. He said he was really mad because of the square um, about the square blowing up, but we gotta assume that Fuang being taken away from him by Pyle played a role in that too, of him having Pyle killed. Um, so very interesting. The Quiet American is very interesting, and it ends with Thomas, with Yuang and the death of Pyle. In terms of analysis, this novel again, it's a very interesting novel. There are parts of it that's very political, and it's not a smooth read, but there are some good parts in it. The love triangle is quite interesting. I guess we can't really call it a love triangle. It's just interesting. So that's yeah, that's the novel. One in terms of analysis, one thing I want to point out here is that um, this has kind of Pyle was this Ivy League graduate from the U.S. and he's coming into Vietnam and he's trying to establish democratic beliefs. And one thing I think that this book kind of targets is that not every country needs to be a democracy. Some countries are just fine the way they are. Maybe the people don't need a democracy. Some countries still to this day have dictatorships and they're surviving, and some people are quite satisfied with the dictatorships. And Powell comes in with his American beliefs, and he said, "I'm going to change this." Um, it's not like he talked to the Vietnamese people and said, "Do you guys want a democracy?" He's just, "No, I'm going to establish a democratic establishment, and that's it." So he didn't really. He just tried to establish his own views, and I think that the novel is kind of saying that that's not always the right place to go. Because the same way where he was trying to get Fuang and trying to um, tell Thomas that you can't provide for her, I can provide for her. Let me step in here. I'm gonna marry her. You gotta back off. The same way he tried to step into Thomas's relationship with his mistress, kind of blew up in his face too. So it kind of targets American beliefs in another way because Americans, we do have this mentality that we're always right, we're always correct, and especially Pyle, he's coming from an Ivy League background. He's well educated. He has a post in the military, so and he's extremely cocky and confident, and that's really a lot of Americans are like that, and that's not always we're not always right. Americans are not always right, and I think the novel kind of points at that. Stop trying to force your own beliefs in your own democratic system in other countries because those countries they might not be open to that. So that's one way we can interpret this novel. There's other ways we can interpret it, especially we can look at the Fuang ideals. Fuang is not really a woman after love again. She's just trying to maximize her benefits. In the novel, she could have gone either way. She could have been with Pyle. She could have been with Thomas Fowler. But you know, after Pyle died, she went right back to Thomas, Thomas was able to marry her, she would have never left him anyway. So she's not really after love or anything like that. She's just trying to maximize her benefit. Whichever man can give her the most money or marry her and give her children in the household, she would be with. That's pretty much it to her. She's not really a developed or a character filled with depth. She's really kind of like a caricature of a woman that just wants to survive, and that's not really a great representation of a woman. The most developed character is Thomas Fowler. He has political views. He has many dimensions to him. So Thomas Fowler is a really well developed character. Pyle is kind of like an American character, an American beliefs, an American egoism, and he's very cocky. But Thomas Fowler, he's more down to earth, and he's gonna do what he wants for himself, but at the same time, he's not trying to impose his views and his beliefs on an entire country like Pyle is trying to do. So that is my summary and analysis of the novel. And I guess we're gonna throw my explanation in there too. I hope you guys like that. Again, leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys in my next video.